Yes, welcome back to Booze to Better. So this is going to be a great one. So today I am 1,872 days sober.
Wow.
And today I have a beautiful soul with me. I first come across this man when he blew everyone away with a talk on his life. And ever since then, I've been compelled by his energy, his thirst for life, and just the fact that he's a beautiful human being. Without further ado, here he is, the great George Charlton. Look
Come
at that.
on!
What an introduction. How
Well,
are you?
I'm all right, man. And what an introduction you give for me. I've noticed that we've got the beanie hats on. People might think it's a bit like the Proclaimers doing like a day, but you know what, Marcus? I'd walk 500 miles for you, brother. I'm all right.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm all right. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day in Durham. Yeah, man. Do you know, people like that song, Tell Me Why I Don't Like Mondays. I don't like them. I love them. Do you know what I mean? And it's
Love
just
it.
great to be alive, man. And I'm pleased to be here with you, with the main man. So what's happening?
Mate, thank you. And thank you for, we've tried a couple of times, but things haven't, but now we've aligned and we are here and this is going to be incredible. So
Yeah,
first question that I asked everyone, and I'm going to ask you the same, is what does Booze to Better mean to George?
Wow. Well, you know what it is? It's a massive statement that. Where am I now? I think I'm about 148 days booze free.
Yes.
I've had some great support from an absolutely amazing alcohol. I mean, like
Here
the
we
best.
go.
Out in.
What's his name, by the way?
Honestly, for me, Booze to Beast is about the transformation that comes when you decide to reduce alcohol or put alcohol down. And definitely for me, across the last 148 days, whatever it is, transformational has been absolutely fantastic in every part of my life. It hasn't been like one specific area that stopping drinking has impacted on. It's been like every area in terms of my physical health. Like I've got more energy than I've had before, never had before. I feel I feel physically well. I'm out running kind of most days. I was running when I was drinking as well, but I was like, oh mate, it was a killer. Do you know what I mean? I think the biggest mindset shift for me around Booze to Beast has been around my mental health. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I really, I'm 52, right? I know it's hard to believe when we use so good looks, right? And and I'm not somebody who's just used alcohol. Like I was a drug user. I am a drug user. My drug of choice was more. It was more of anything I could get my hands on. Basically, gas, glue, MDMA, cannabis, amphetamines, harder drugs, cocaine, heroin. Do you know what I mean? Like all of these different substances I've used over the years. But the biggest demon that I've ever had has been the booze. And I kind of think that as long as I've been drinking alcohol, my relationship with it's been problematic. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's mad, isn't it? That I think there's drug or alcohol use doesn't imply drug or alcohol addiction. I think we've got to make that distinction. You know, we're not suggesting that everyone, or at least I'm not suggesting that everyone who uses alcohol has a problem with alcohol. But I think certainly for me, I've had a problem with alcohol probably all my life. Do you know what I mean? And the reality is we've got a saying in some different fellowships, which is one is too many and 1,000 never enough. Do you know what I mean? And that really resonates with me, because I think for a long time I was trying to fix my insides through external substances. Do you know what I mean? So in the present time, now, the last year or two, it's just been crazy, man, to think I wasn't an everyday drinker. I was a weekend drinker. I didn't go out in the pubs and drink. I would sit in the house on my own, because it's great like that, isn't it? And I would have a few beers, except it was never a few. It was fucking loads. Do you know what I mean? And and I would feel like shit for days. Like I would have drinks on a Friday, and then on a Saturday I'm like dying, like absolutely dying with a hangover and anxiety from hell. Do you know what I mean? And then kind of trying to have a smile on my face and kind of be normal for my daughters. Do you know what I mean? But really inside, I'm dying and dying to get to like 4 o'clock on the Saturday night. So like I can get that beer open and get another beer in, because ironically that's the thing that's going to make you better, isn't it? Hear the fucking dog and all that. So like get that beer down on the Saturday, and then like listening to me records and watching stuff on the telly and all the rest of it. And then Sunday was exactly the same again, just feeling rubbish. And then Monday feeling worse. Do you know what I mean? Anxiety, like self-loathing, like not able to kind of terrified about pressing like join a meeting on a Zoom call. Do you know what I mean? Like kind of Tuesday, still bad. Wednesday, starting to feel a bit better. Thursday, like that. Yes. Yeah, man, I'm fucking all right now. Friday, back on it. And you know what? I've done that for like 40 years. 35 or
Yeah.
40. That's been like, and Einstein says the definition of insanity is to repeat the same behavior and expect different results. And like for me, it was fucking insane to keep doing that. Do you know what I mean? But that's what I did. And then, it was like kind of, I've had like, you know, the, people say if you want to know if you've got a problem with alcohol, stop. Just stop. Do you know what I mean? And like for me, I've been trying to stop forever, and something just seems to have clicked this time. And yeah, man, I'm feeling good.
Okay, so let's strip it back right to the start then. When did you, like, what was your first experiences like with alcohol, and how did it come across, how did it come about?
I used to pinch it. My mum used to have a can of Carlsberg. She used to like to have a little can of Carlsberg with lime, and I used to pinch it, a drink of it. I remember I was little. I don't know how little I was, 10, 11 year old or something like that. I would pinch a little drink of it, and that was probably like the first time I'd ever used alcohol. But then for me, like around, I don't know, 13 years old, 14 years old, something like that, he used to have Westmoreland Court, where I lived. They used to have the old flats, and used to have the ramps that led you up to the flats. And we used to go down there on a weekend with a bottle of old English cider and drink that. And I remember the way that kind of made me feel was fucking amazing. Because as a young guy, like I've struggled with mental health all my life, me. Do you know what I mean? And kind of like self-esteem and self-worth and all the rest of it was like, I never believed I was good enough. I didn't really fit into kind of like social settings in many ways. So in my school, you kind of had the dressers and the trendies, and I definitely didn't fucking fit into that group. You had like the swats and the academics, while I was fucking thick as mints, so I didn't fit into that group. Then you had kind of the people who were slightly overweight and all the rest of it, and even they were saying, we don't want you in our fucking group. Do you know what I mean? So I was like in a social group in my school made up of one, and I was the only fucking member. And I remember that being kind of quite a lonely place to be in many ways. And like I didn't feel confident, like the playing and interacting with other young people. Do you know what I mean? Like I used to look at other kids and think the way they played and interacted with each other, I don't feel the way they looked. They looked like they could do that like really easy. Do you know what I mean? Whereas for me, I was fucking dying inside with anxiety and stuff. So like, so that first drink of alcohol, that old English, do you know what I mean? When I kind of drank that, it changed me, man, pretty much instantly. Do you know, like I kind of felt more relaxed. I lost my inhibitions. Rather than people laughing at us because I was a fucking idiot, they were laughing at us because I was quite funny when I'd had a drink. So then in turn, I started getting a lot of like positive regard and warmth from people. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so I guess for me, like alcohol did for me what I couldn't do for myself. So there was definitely something, maybe it's at an unconscious level there, where I was like, oh, this can work for me. So like, because when I wasn't having that drink, and I wasn't drinking like loads, do you know what I mean? Just like lots of other young people do, lots of young people are drinking alcohol. I'm sure it's something like 1.2 million young people used alcohol last year. So it's definitely a thing that's going on. But for me, it was definitely something that it changed me, and it changed me for the better. Do you know what I mean? Because it did. That's what I felt. It changed me for the better.
Yeah, yeah. And when when you're feeling like this, and yeah, I got the same feeling. I felt it changed me for the better, and that warmth it gave me, that instant. I think your story is, the terms of like the funniness and the what it did to me, the confidence. I think that I can, yeah, it's hard relate for me. I can definitely relate to that because, you know, in most of my posts, I'll revert back to that's why I did it, to make me feel more confident, to make me feel like I was loved by the ladies, and that clearly wasn't the case. But
Find that hard to believe.
I suppose, like, when did you start thinking this is a bit of a problem,
Problem. Yeah.
or did you think that?
Oh yeah. Well, alcohol's definitely been a problem. It's been the biggest problem I've ever had with
Yeah,
with regards to substances. 100%. Um, for me, I think it was kind of like it was slowly building up. I think, right. So like, I'm not here saying that like when I use substances, that I use those substances consciously to deal with trauma. Right. That wasn't the case. Right. However, long before I ever took a drink or a drug, I'd definitely been traumatized. So like the schools that I went to, like they used to beat the shit out of you with bamboo canes across your legs in junior school. Do you know what I mean? Like they used to hit you with leather straps across your hands in senior school. Like I was terrified when I was in school because when they hit me, they hurt my hands, but they hurt my mind more. And I was fucking frightened all of the time in school. Do you know what I mean? Like I started to kind of scratch myself and self harm a lot. And I suppose a bit of a trauma warning for your audience. It's kind of like this stuff's not easy for me to talk about, but maybe it's not easy for people to listen to. Like that those beatings were a thing, man. I think they called it corporal punishment back then. Do you know what I mean? And I wasn't doing anything to fucking deserve being hit and hurt like that. And I think for lots of young people in my school, like it was like a badge of honor when they got hit in some ways. Some of the hard lads, do you know what I mean? Or at least that's how it appeared. But for me, they absolutely hurt me. So I learned if I scratched myself and scratched myself and scratched myself until I bled, then you don't get sent to school. Your mum doesn't send you to school, but you do end up at the doctors, and doctors weren't tuned into young people's mental health back then. And he said he's got to go back to school. Rita, to me mum, he's got to go back to school, and back to school. I went and back to being hit, and like my mum had a faith, and she sent me to get some spiritual counsel, shall we say, of a local minister, and in a church, and I got a bit more than spiritual counsel when I was there. Like he didn't sexually abuse me, he raped me, and he did that for a long time, and told me if I told anyone what he was doing to me, that nobody would believe me, they would believe him, and I believed him. Do you know what I mean? And in many ways, by the time I was like 12-year-old, like I had really lovely parents. Do you know what I mean? Like my mum and dad were amazing people. But like all of the stuff that was going on in my life was wrapped up in real pain. Do you know what I mean? Like being beaten in schools, being told that I was not good enough, that I was fucking thick. Do you know what I mean? Like being sexually abused like that. Like I had two uh, I had two numpties who I had two numpties, two older lads who I'll not mention their names, but they used to blackmail me, and they used to come to my mum's house, my mum and dad's house, and knock on the door, and used to make us take stuff out of the house and give it to them. Two local lads. I wish I could name them. In fact, I wish I could say them again. They blackmailed me for years for fucking like for smoking fags, and I was terrified. Like I was terrified of being in my own house. Nowhere was safe. Do you know what I mean? Like nowhere was fucking safe, man. And it wasn't like that for a couple of months. It's like that for years. Do you know what I mean? So like fucking alcohol for me helped me to find my place in the world. Drugs for me weren't the problem; they were the fucking solution. Do you know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
I had some amazing times drinking. I had some amazing times using different substances. The the late 80s and early 90s, rave music was a fucking thing. Do you know what I mean? It had landers, like people were necking MDMA and kind of taking amphetamines and stuff. And like, it was a fucking amazing time, man. I'm telling you now, really was an amazing time. And you know what? Like that was what was happening culturally, and kind of, I did terrible in school. Like I couldn't wait to leave. I'd left with no GCSEs and out like that. And and substances had become my friend. Do you know what I mean? But what I started to notice was that, like, go out on weekends and all the rest of it, go to raves or whatever else, and then when people were getting their shit together on the Sunday, ready to go and do their job or whatever it is that they were doing on the Monday, I wasn't stopping. I was looking for the next party. Do you know what I mean? I was looking for, like, what's the next thing that I can do? Because what was happening was, when I wasn't drinking or I wasn't using, I was back to who I was without it, which was like fucking that frightened little lad. Do you know what I mean, bro? So like for me, it was about probably ages of 19-year-old, where I think like my alcohol use was, I was drinking definitely different from how other people were. And my drug use was different as well, you know. So I'd be up a height on E's and all kinds of stuff. And then I'd be kind of taking benzos or temazepam in order to bring me down. And then the cider had gone from being like Old English to fucking White Lightning. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not an apple in
Yeah.
that. Do you know what I mean? The strength of it. And then I was kind of like in those conscious blackouts in some ways. You know what I mean? Where kind of people will be off your fucking head last night. I had no recollection of that, you know. So I think probably from around that time, 19-year-old, say, um, I was on kind of a spiral into kind of just like not being fully in control of what it was that I was doing. Joined the um, joined the army to get away from. Have you got an echo?
No,
Oh, okay, I've got one this side. So I joined the army to get away from. Oh, I wonder why that's doing that. You
can
haven't
you
got
hear?
it.
No, no.
All right, it's fine. We'll crack on. Fine. I can just hear my voice twice. It's fucking enough to get my once. Well, so I knew that I needed, and at that time, I think like my drug of choice was alcohol and amphetamines. So I was taking loads of speed. I wasn't sleeping much. Um, I was hearing people shouting on me and there was nobody there. Do you know what I mean? It was like kind of, I'd been downstairs and handed a load of cannabis to my dad, seeing the police were outside and that. I obviously had some form of psychosis and stuff which was going on. And I had like a moment of clarity where I thought, you know what, I need to get away from this and sort my life out. So I thought it'd be a really good idea to join the military. And I signed up to, I wanted to either be a pilot in the Army Air Corps with no fucking qualifications whatsoever. So clearly I was delusional. Oh, I used to like to play the drums and the bugle as part of the cadets. I used to play at cenotaphs and stuff. So I was kind of like mad
Love
for the
that.
army. So I thought I could join the Royal Marine Band. And again, like fucking pipe dream, because it just wasn't going to happen. So I went along to the careers office, Army careers office, and said, like, I want to sign up. I think it was about 21-year-old. And I told them what I wanted to be. And I did the aptitude test, and they said, you can be a blanket stacker and be a storeman in the Army Ordnance Corps. And I thought, fuck it, I'll do that. And I get away from like the drugs and stuff. And get away from the problem. But I didn't realize I was the fucking problem. You know what I mean? I was the
Yeah.
problem. So, like, you know, in my wisdom to get away from the drugs and join the military, I took drugs to the military and got fucking caught. And I got caught with 9 ounces of cannabis. And in basic training, I got put in front of the commanding officer, and I got sentenced to 2 years in the glass house in Colchester, the Colchester Prison, MCTC, Military Corrective Training Centre. And it was like, do you know that? Like, how the fuck, how have I ended up here? Like, you know, like that's been a bit like the mantra of my fucking life in some ways, like, because it's never felt like I've had the ability to kind of look at the chain of events. It's kind of like I've never been able to go, if I do this, then the potential is this can happen, then that can happen, then that can happen, then that can happen. My mind goes, you need to get away from the drinking the drugs, Joe. Drinking the drugs. So join the army and take some drugs with you. There wasn't one part where my mind went, oh, well, how the fuck's that getting away from the drugs? Wasn't a single part in my head that done that. It was just, that's what you're going to do. You're going to go away to get away from the drink and the drugs, and you're going to join somewhere which has probably got the biggest fucking alcohol culture of all, and also you're going to take fucking drugs. And then, like I say,
Yeah.
within like 4 or 5 months of being in the army, I'm in the army fucking prison, and then I'm fucking chucked out. And I think for me, like, from the ages of like 20, 21, all the way through till I was like 30-year old, it was fucking, it was, it was hardcore. It was like, it wasn't Friday night drinking and Saturday night drinking. It was everyday drinking, and it was fucking drinking for oblivion. And it was dependent drinking. Like, um, I was a dependent drinker. Like, if I didn't have alcohol, then I was in alcohol withdrawal. I was having fits. My dad would be saying to me, "Mum, is he doing some hammering in the bloody bathroom? He's banging in there." And he'd come in, and I was on the floor with my head in between the wall and the toilet system, and it's my head banging off the toilet system. Do you know what I mean? I was chemically
Jeez.
dependent on the booze, you know, and it was like fucking going across to the local shop to get a bottle of Lambrini in the morning, like, because if you drink and you vomit, because invariably I was always vomiting, like, but I
Yeah.
need to get alcohol in. Do you know what I mean? Like, the only way to kind of stop that rattling for me was get that drink and, oh, get it in. And it really was like that, you know, my body needed it. It fucking needed it, man. Like, but if you drink lager and then you vomit, it just turns into froth. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like, if you drink Lambrini and you vomit, it doesn't turn frothy. It just turns into warm Lambrini that's come back up, which means you can then
Yeah.
drink. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, for me, getting two quid together for a bottle of Lambrini was hard work. I didn't have money. I wasn't working. I was a mess. Do you know what I mean? And that probably sounds really fucking vile, that. But the reality was, like, I was that conscious about the fact that I needed to have that drink in the morning, and very methodical around, like, if I drink a can of Carlin or whatever it is, if I'm going to be sick, and I know that I am, I can't then drink that again, but I could with Lambrini. And, like, that was the
Yeah.
fucking, so where I was at. And yeah, man, it was mad. It was like, it was really mad, because those networks that I had of people who, like, my friends who used substances the same as me didn't end up where I did. A lot of them didn't. You know what I mean? Because, like, they weren't, in the end, medicating maybe some of the things that I fucking was. Do you know what I mean? But, like, I was really irresponsible in terms of, like, it was like the drink and then benzos. Do you know what I mean? Like Valium, temazepam,
Yeah.
Zopicone, other sleeping tablets, that concoction there, it's fucking good night. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and I would either be found in places, do you know what I mean? Like, completely fucking unconscious and didn't know how I got there, or the door would be opened out in a car, and somehow I'm on a fucking roundabout at the Felon bypass, and I've got no recollection of how the fuck I was even in the car, or how I even got there. And the partying stopped. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't,
Yeah.
there's no more now, and um the drugs weren't the fun drugs. The drugs were like fucking, there were drugs that really harmed me, like opiates. Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of like Lagactil and Theorazine, and like antipsychotic medication, and I was fucking lost, man. I'm telling you, I was lost. I started to get fucking like, um, I fucking loathed who I was, man. I fucking loathed it. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I would fucking get razor blades and fucking put them through my face. You can see the scars on my face there, and fucking put them through my chest and across my arms, and I fucking, like, I was lost, man. I was lost, and the only thing to do was to do the same thing the next day. You know what I mean? But, like, more
Yeah.
drink. more drink, and then those days turn into weeks, the weeks into months, the months into fucking years, and then you're on that downhill spiral, man, and fucking it doesn't happen for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like that journey doesn't happen for everyone, but it certainly happened for me. Where then, like, I was a frequent flyer in locked psychiatric units. Do you know what I mean? Like fucking having my liberty taken away from us. Like diagnosed with schizophrenia and fucking, which I don't think I've got. What do you say? What? Oh, sorry. Yeah. I
So that
think like,
all of
go on.
this was quite dark then. So like, w- uh, how bad did it get, mate?
Well, that's where I didn't want to be. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Mm,
I didn't want to live. Lots of times where I ended up in hospital as a result of overdose. A lot of those things were unintentional. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're
yeah,
using kind of like alcohol and like and opiates, like heroin based kind of products, then
yeah,
it's a one way trip to kind of respiratory depression, and you go into hospital. And lots of those
yeah,
times
sure.
unintentional. Do you know what I mean? I didn't intend to die in those times, but like definitely for me, um, there was times where those times where I didn't want to live and took those steps. I always remember my fucking mum and dad went through it, man. Because like everyone kind of disengaged, like everyone just goes
Of
boom like
course.
that. While you become the person that people say, oh, you don't want to be fucking messing around with him. He's a fucking maniac. Do you know what I mean? Or he's the wrong crowd. Like I was the wrong crowd, and like fucking um but my mum and my dad just fucking, they never gave up. Do you know what I mean? Like they never gave up, but they were both elderly, and I was in and out of lots of psychiatric units and backwards and forwards to the hospital, getting fucking stitched up and all the rest of it, all kind of waking up with charcoal all over my top where they had to pump my stomach and stuff. And I
Jeez.
remember this one time where me dad, like, he gave us a cuddle and he said, "Son, I'm going to help you, but like I need to just get your mum down to Uncle Jimmy's, and I'm going to come back up and we're going to sort this out for you, man." Like they tried loads of different things, like to help and stuff. So I knew that at the weekend he was going to take her down the road, and I started stealing dihydrocodone tablets, DF1, which are a kind of an opiate-based painkiller. And then I was stealing warfarin as well, which is a drug that my mum used to take. She had a lot of strokes, so warfarin thins the blood.
Fiends of
You know what I mean?
blood.
Like, my plan was that when he took my mum to go down to Uncle Jimmy's, that what I would do was I would, uh, I would fucking save them from the fucking heartache that they were having. And he took my mum away, and I bought a bottle of vodka. I necked all those DF118s. I think I took about 60 of them. I took about the same amount of warfarin, and then I necked a bottle of vodka. And they had a room. My mum, because of her strokes and stuff, she couldn't climb in and out of the bath or the shower. So they had the whole toilet, which was created into a wet room. So that when you showered, the water just went on the floor. And I thought to myself, well, if I fucking kill myself in there and cut my own wrists, then it's not going to ruin the carpet. Do you know what I mean? That's where my mindset was. Not that my dad was going to come back and find his son dead, but that
Yeah.
and be pissed off that the carpet was fucking ruined. And that's what I did. They left, and I had those tablets. I took that drink, and I sliced into my wrists, and I don't remember fucking anything other than waking up um in hospital again. And he often said, like, he told us that, like, on that day, like, they didn't have mobile phones and that back then. And he said he was driving down to Uncle Jimmy's with me mum, and he said, "Rita, something doesn't feel right." He just had a feeling something doesn't feel
Wow.
right. Turned the car around and he drove back home. And when he came home, I was unconscious in a pool of claret and fucking in an ambulance and down there. Like, it's funny that, isn't it? Well, it's not funny, but what was that, man?
Yeah.
What was that he fucking felt? Do you know what I mean? And he came back, and hospital I went, and that was it. That was the last time that I kind of decided to have a drink for a while. Nah, was it fuck? It wasn't though, was it? Like, that's the fucking madness of it all. Like
Yeah.
all of that the jails, all of that bollocks. I got took away in a boot of a car for a fucking massive drug debt. I got stabbed in my face and in my back with the fucking a broken bottle. Do you know what I mean? A bit of me arse put on my forehead. I've got a nice arse, you know what I mean? But it's like um, all of that. And the solution to all of that is, for me, have another drink, have another
Yeah.
drug, and be different. Do you know what I mean? And like, and it wasn't. And even again, like after that episode of Stitches and Wrists and all the rest of it, it kept on going. It just fucking, it kept on, it kept on going, man. It was fucking mental. It's mental, brother. It's mental to think like about those times. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mental.
yeah. Like, so obviously people don't talk about their suicide attempts much, and obviously I appreciate you being so open, honest, and vulnerable. So, what eventually got you out of that darker place?
Eh, I didn't know, man. I think that, like, there's a line that says "sick and tired of being sick and tired," and
Yeah,
I think that's maybe where I was. I think physically, physically, I could potentially have continued to drink, but psychologically, I was fucking done. I was absolutely, I was a broken man. I'm telling you now, I was under the care of, like, as I say, psychiatric units. I had kind of consultant psychiatrists and psychologists working with us. I was dosed up with like antipsychotic medication, like Gactyl and Thiorazine. Like, I wasn't feeling at all. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, I was existing, and it was there. And again, it was after another suicide attempt where I ended up detained under the Mental Health Act, and I don't know how this bit happened because I've got no recollection, but it was kind of came straight out of that section, and then I was going to a residential rehabilitation centre. Like, I can't even remember agreeing to that, to be fair, because it wouldn't have been my fucking bag that at all. And I remember it was 1999, I think. My dad collecting us, taking us home to Paxton's before and driving us to Sunderland to the Lazarus Centre. And I had some weird shit, man. I had a fucking briefcase. To this day, I don't even know whose the case was. Like, what was I doing with a briefcase? And like in the briefcase, like a fucking Rubik's cube or something. And then there was I always remember there was a letter in there from embossed with number 10 Downing Street, the logo from 10 Downing Street, because I wrote to them down there. I wrote to the fucking, I can't remember whether I wrote to the Prime Minister, I think I wrote to, but it was addressed to fucking number 10 Downing Street, basically saying, I'm desperate. I'm fucking desperate and I need fucking help. I was always doing weird shit when I was pissed up, like, and I got a letter back. I got a letter back. It wasn't off the fucking prime minister or anything like that, but I remember it was a letter kind of saying, "George, we wish you well, and there's lots of different services which exist, and blah blah blah." But that little crest, you know, sometimes you hang on to things, don't you? It meant
yeah,
something,
yeah,
it meant that I meant.
absolutely.
You know what I mean, bro? And so I had that little letter there, and my dad drove us over, and it was a big old Doxford house to call it. And I remember getting outside of that fucking building, and he got me briefcase out, and he got me back out, and he looked us right in the eyes, and he put his arms around us, and he gave us a kiss, and he said, "George, I love you more than you ever know, son, but I cannot let you kill me wife." He said, like, you need to go in there and you need to get well. I don't come back, and he meant it. He didn't shout it. He wasn't angry. And I knew it was the fucking probably the hardest thing the hardest words he's ever had to say to his kid. You know what I mean? Was that, like, you're on your own. That's what he said.
Yeah,
I love you, but you're on your own. And he got back in the car, and he drove off. And I was left stood outside this fucking rehab, terrified. Had been detoxed whilst I was on the section, and I turned up in that rehab with more stitches on us, and knocked on that door, and I was in there for a year in total, which was mad. So I wasn't drinking, I wasn't using, but I was still a fucking mess. And that because drinking drugs weren't my problem. The way I was using
no,
them, the problem was adverse childhood experiences and trauma. Do you know what I mean? And we know that, like, we know like statistically, like last year in the UK, there was like 2.9 million adults used an illegal substance. We don't have 2.9 million people who are in treatment and support because there's they don't necessarily have problems the way I did with the drugs that they were taking, right? But like the United
Yeah,
Nations of some crime reckon around 10 or 15% of people who use drugs or alcohol globally do so because they're medicating adverse childhood experiences, pain and trauma. Do you know what I mean? And definitely for me, that's what it was about in the end. It wasn't about good times. There hadn't been good times for a long time with my substance use. Do you know what I mean? Right? But that was
yeah,
down to, do you know what I mean? That was kind of down to me. So I did go in there and I did do all the work, but all the work was around the alcohol and the drugs, and it wasn't so much about dealing with those past, with
yeah.
those
Trauma.
traumas. So I'd kind of like, uh, so like a fucking about 9 months after being in there, he said, "What are you gonna do with yourself?" I was like, "What are you on about?" I was thinking I would stay in there forever. They're like, "What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "I don't understand what you mean. What are you gonna be leaving in 12 weeks? Like, have you thought about like the rest of your life?" And I was like, "No, no."
Fuck.
I'm like 30-year-old. I've got fucking nothing. I don't have a qualification. I don't have a GCSE. I don't have anything. I don't have a home. Like I don't have a trade. Everyone else my age was like fucking bricklayers, joiners, chippies. Do you know what I mean? Like they were all doing
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
doing then fucking buying at work and buying houses, and I'm like that fucking 30-year-old, like standing there going, "Well, fucking no idea. I've no idea, like what I'm gonna do or what I'm gonna fucking be." And I went and did a basic counselling course at the Bede College whilst I was still in rehab. Not because I wanted to be a counsellor, but because I wanted to learn how to be around people without being scared. Because like when I was in those walls of that rehab, it became safe. Anything outside of the walls was unsafe. Do you know what I mean? It was
yeah,
like really anxious. I didn't know how to fucking talk to people. I couldn't look you in the fucking eyes because I thought you could see straight into me fucking soul. Do you know what I mean? It was like, so I started doing this basic counselling course because I thought those people, with the very nature of doing a counselling course, they would go easy on me. Do you know what I mean? And it was a 12-week course. I think everyone who starts it probably finishes it and gets a qualification. And I remember at the end getting like a certificate to say, like, this is to certify that George Charlton's completed a basic counselling course. And it was like, fucking hell. In that moment, like, there was two things happened. I think it was the first time in my life I'd ever started and finished anything. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? I was qualified in something. And then the second thing was like the feeling I got when she gave me that certificate. I got fucking goosebumps everywhere. And it was like, fucking hell. That felt amazing. Like, it actually felt a bit like fucking snorting a line of coke, if I'm honest. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, got elation, got real elation and felt mint of like doing something like slightly academic. So I thought, right, I need to feel that feeling again. So the only thing to do is like to do a level 2. So I did a level 2 in counselling, then a level 3, and then I did a postgraduate diploma, and then I did a degree, and then I went on and kind of uh, did a master's and shit like that as well. And kind of like in many ways, like education became me
drug.
yeah, man. And also my salvation. Yeah, man. It was kind of like
Yeah,
I'd found something that I was good at. And then I suppose I'm also like kind of being like really open and transparent about my experiences as well. Like became fucking like I've got a qualification that nobody fucking wants. Do you know what I mean? If you want my qualification, you've got to do like a fucking decade of pain and trauma and violence and assaults and prisons and psychiatric units and self-loathing and self-hatred and fucking your life up big time, like 5 or 6 different times. Like that's how we serve our time. You know what I mean? So if you can make sense of all of that, then that becomes a really brilliant set of experiences that you can use to kind of help and empower empower other people with, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? So kind of
yeah.
rather than saying like my relationship with alcohol and drugs as a negative, I kind of seen it as an opportunity to kind of make some sense of that and then go on and help other people, I guess. And that's what I do.
That's amazing. How do you think the stigma shaped your journey? Did you think it was more of a stigma that shaped your journey more than the drugs themselves? Like the stigma of like your inner trauma and what you were struggling with. Do you think that the stigma of that was more impactful than the drugs themselves.
In terms of how it made me feel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, do you know what it is? I think there's just something very liberating about not having to hide behind that stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, I kind of feel I know that there's many people who experience issues like I did. Do you know what I mean? Who like don't feel able that they can kind of come forward and be open and honest about where they're at because they're worried about being vilified or they're worried about being judged. Do you know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
for me, it's like I kind of think that if you can be open and transparent about your past, it becomes very much like permission given for other people as well. Do you know what I mean? So I tend to wear my heart on my sleeve. Like I'm pro drugs. Me, nice people take drugs T-shirt on there because they do. You know what I mean? Like nice people do drink alcohol. I'm definitely pro a person's bodily autonomy. That people should have the rights to put into their body whatever they want to put into their body, providing it's not going to hurt other people. Then that's absolutely fine. But I think for me, my actions were they weren't just hurting me; they were hurting other people. Do you know what I mean? And it was like it was one of them, you know. So I don't know, man. I just think that that whole thing about like nothing happens to me, everything happens for me. Like that's a fucking great line. That I love it. Do you know what I mean? And I guess that's been the story of my journey for me. You know, it was hugely negative. It was painful. It was painful for lots of people around me. Um, but it kind of brought me to kind of like the right here and the right now, doing the things that I'm doing. You know, and I think like it's even coming out of the the rehab like 2001 or something like that, like you know what, it's not like I've nailed it. I haven't nailed it where booze is concerned. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I haven't. It's like fucking just because then I'm no longer a dependent drinker. Do you know what I mean? Didn't mean that it still wasn't a problem for me because where we started out at the start of the podcast was kind of me describing trying to do everything to make alcohol work for me rather than just fucking stopping. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
Well, stopping, but you know what it is? It's like it's in your face, isn't it? Like alcohol's like it's everywhere and it's in your face. And I'm not suggesting that everyone needs to stop. They know that. The audience know that. The listeners know that. You know whether you need to fucking stop or not. Do you know what I mean? Like,
And that's the thing that I don't think people do. And that's the God's honest truth because we, you know, about it. And I did a post today about it. Like, because it's the moderation myth that we're told, like everything in moderation. And I know like different people have different reactions and different ways of using alcohol. But 90, a lot of people, and I'm not going to put a stat to it, a lot of people will still justify their stories around alcohol because of what we've always done. And like you've always said, like you said at the start, a lot of the moderation myth, a lot of it is I'll just have one, it is complete utter fabrication and bullshit because as you quite rightly said, one is not enough and a thousand's, whatever. One is too many and a thousand's not enough. I think going back to all of that, like they indicate that they could control a drug that pretty much controls us, and like
do you think
yeah,
everyone though? Do you think that's because I guess for me, so like because in many ways, like this idea of moderation management, right? Like if what we're thinking about is like reducing harm, do you know what I mean,
yeah,
right? Like a harm reduction type approach. I know for me, like kind of many moons ago, like if somebody had said to me that you have to stop completely, right? It, it's fucking massive that. Do you know what I mean, right?
yeah,
But the idea of kind of like changing when you drink, how you drink, the type of substance that you drink. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a strong evidence base for some people that moderation management can be effective. So the idea for maybe somebody who's been an injecting heroin user, for instance, do you know what I mean? That they start
yeah,
smoking and injecting it, or they change their drug from heroin to using cannabis, for instance, is a positive, right? But there's that
absolutely,
sense for me about like kind of like I think if people have got a bit of a problem with alcohol, right, in those quiet moments when they're on their own, they fucking know that they have. So they might have all of the bullshit and the rationale to keep doing the thing
yeah,
that It's like, I'm sure there's a song by Mike Skinner. I can't remember the words, but it's something he talks about what if you think and you're fucked up, you are fucked up. Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
definitely like in those moments of where I'm supposed to be enjoying myself around taking substances, I've got that voice inside of me that goes, mate, like, what's fucking happening here? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I suppose for me, and I 100%, I'm with you in that, in terms, especially with like harder drugs. But we know that the harder drugs don't kill as many people as the legal substance that we're talking about in this thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, like, the moderation control is still that we know by drinking this poison of what it is in moderation,
yeah,
we are still harming our body. That's
yeah,
I suppose that's my point is like, okay, cool, but it's linked to 7 to 10 cancers. It's going to
yeah,
shrink
yeah,
your
yeah.
brain.
Yeah. Well, that's that. Yeah,
It's going to cause all of this. So like, because I know that like having rules around it, like I only drink at weekends or I only drink, I think I'll use you as an example because you're on the call. Like sometimes that Friday that I'm only drinking at weekends might then slowly creep into a Thursday, or it might then end up at like, because I'm feeling shit that Sunday. And this is not maybe how you used it, but this is
yeah,
how I've seen a lot of men or a lot of people who I help. That's the pattern, right? It's like, well, and I'll use me as an example. Any kind of like, I was the same as you, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it would be like Friday to Sunday, like not much sleep. And then it'd be
yeah.
like United are on, or I've had a stressful day, or I've just received an email from the solicitor, which has then triggered the shit out of me. So yeah, that was just my point on it. I suppose
No,
it's like,
yeah, you know
I
what it
get
is,
it.
and I'm not suggesting that. Yeah, I'm not suggesting that. Like, yeah, you're wrong. I think for me, I kind of try and keep this. I'm trying to keep this kind of like about me. Like, I have people who I know who drink alcohol and they've got to take it or leave it mentality. Do you know what I mean? And they
Yeah,
absolutely have. Their use like never led them to the places that mine did. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
That
Same,
doesn't mean
same.
that doesn't mean that they're exempt from the harms that come from alcohol, because the
No, no,
reality,
yeah, exactly.
as,
Yeah,
as you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
who are the world's like global marketeers
Yeah,
around alcohol,
yeah. Fucking hell.
they've got us all believing that it's this like life-giving social lubricant, but like as you said, it's full of carcinogenics. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it creates 7 different causes. It's linked to 7 different causes of cancer. We know that alcohol-related deaths are double the amount of all illegal drug deaths combined. So if you take heroin and crack and MDMA and mushrooms and cannabis and ketamine and fucking all those drugs, and you put them all together, and the number of drug-related deaths, there's half the amount of people die from taking all of those as there is from people who die of alcohol-specific deaths. Do you know what I mean? Like there's, in fact, yeah, give us a second because I've got a slide here. Give us a look. Where is it? Here it is. 10,473 alcohol-specific deaths were registered in the UK last year. 22,600 alcohol-related deaths. That's an increase of 21%. 1 million. Oh, I hate long numbers. 1 million, like 100,000 alcohol related hospital admissions last year. 486,000 potential years of life lost due to alcohol conditions. 21 people die of drug related deaths. There's more than that'll die today of alcohol related deaths. And it gets worse and worse and worse, and it goes up and up and up all the time. Do you know what I mean? So I think we've got
yeah,
to be absolutely realistic. Like C2H6O, I think, is what people are drinking. So let's not fucking delude ourselves that we're having a nice glass of a nice Chianti or something like that. We're taking on board a chemical substance which is 1 carbon atom short of acetone. Do you know what I mean? So because it's got a nice bit of labeling and it tastes nice, right? Then don't delude yourself. It's a fucking poison. We know that, you know.
yeah.
The government know that. They put signs on billboards saying alcohol is toxic. However, you can fucking still buy it everywhere. Now, I'm never going to turn into this
Drink
guy who says,
responsibly.
yeah, but I'm never going to turn, and I'm never going to turn into the guy that like chooses not to drink, because that's what I'm doing. I'm making a conscious choice not to drink.
Yeah.
I'm not going to turn into somebody who then goes and fucking beats other people because they do. Do you know what I mean? I'm never going to be that guy. You know, I know what I can and can't do. Right. And I'm kind of
Of
making some
course.
conscious. And you know what? I'm like, it's fucking early days, man. What am I? I'm like 148 days or something like
Yeah.
that. But I've always known internally for me that I was on a search to get some fucking, like, some sobriety, man. Do you know what I mean? And not like
Yeah.
want to have to nothing, not being down on AA or anything. Like, I want to do this for me in my way, because I know for me that in a very short space of time, right, that my life changes in every area for the better. And I've known this, like, where are we now? 2026. I came out of rehab in 2021, and I've still had those struggles with alcohol, you know, though
Yeah.
they weren't anywhere near as bad as they were before I went in. Do you know what I mean? But they were
Yeah.
still bad enough where I was willing to compromise my my mental health and my physical health for having
Yeah.
those. And this is just for me, having those, like, those 2 nights of, like, sat in a fucking house, like,
Yeah.
on my own, drinking, and then waking up feeling like fucking dog shit, and then doing it again, and then Monday, like, going, oh, like, you know, I've since I started doing the work with you, fucking, you know what? Anyone who's fucking watching the podcast and stuff, like, give Marcus a shout, man, because like, his support and his program and all of the fucking, like, the community that he's built, and the fucking, like, the AI technology type stuff, it's just been fucking amazing. And he's a really good guy as well. He's a handsome fucker and all. Do you know what I mean? He's track almost with mine. But since I started, like, kind of doing this stuff with you, you know, I like a journal every day, and I keep a gratitude list every day, and then I've been kind of using this sober app thing, and like there was one that popped up from kind of like a year ago or something, and one of the lines that I wrote in it was like, "This is the last time that I'm ever going to have to feel this way." Do you know what I mean? You're going to be okay, and you're going to get through. Because that for me was how I was fucking feeling. Like, I was
Yeah.
feeling fucking, like, absolute shit with it, and anxious as fuck, and like, and trying to fucking mask how people fucking seen me. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, bro, it's like, I don't, and now I'm not like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like that. Like, somebody once said to me, are you going to give up one thing to have everything, or are you going to give up everything to have one thing? And I've kind of many ways spent my life giving up fucking everything to have one thing. Whereas now, like, giving up that one thing, like, everything just has been absolutely transformational for me. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know, kind of like, I'm not anti-alcohol. I'm not anti-fucking drugs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't be in the work that I do, and nor
Yeah.
would I be. You know what I mean? I think it's for me personally, like, that line, drug use does not imply drug addiction. Alcohol use does not imply alcohol addiction. And I know
Absolutely.
people use substances, whether they're illegal or not. I know people who use alcohol who um who can who can and do live a very normal life with those substances. There's another conversation to be had, which is like, do those substances cause harm? Well, we know they do with alcohol. We know
Yeah.
that around illegal drugs, the safest way to take illegal drugs is not to take them, because, like, we know that we have the drug supplies in the hands of organized crime gangs. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
we've got
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
buy. People aren't getting the drugs people are buying now are contaminated with nitazines, which is a synthetic opiate, which is like 500 times more powerful than heroin. Those substances are turning up in ketamine. They're turning up in traces in cocaine. They're turning up in
Cocaine.
traces of MDMA. So your recreational user, which they are recreational users, are at risk, man, because nobody's got like an FTIR machine so they can do some fucking analysis in the bedroom before they take the pill. There's a lot of trust involved there, and trust's getting fucking people killed. Do you know what I mean? So I think for me, it's about just like, at the end of the day, people have to fucking, for me, I have to examine my own conscience and kind of go, you know what? I'm 52. I fucking love me life. I want to be a fucking really good example for my fucking children. Do you know what I mean? And I want to be fucking the better guy for me. Do you know what I mean? And that's not about being high and mighty and going, oh, screaming about how many fucking days sober I am. I didn't even know for a moment there. And I think that's kind of quite healthy, actually, because it means I'm not looking all the time as I was when I first started out. But all I know is that, like, I feel settled in my mental health. I'm kind of looking a lot fitter. I think I've got 1.5 abs now. Do you know what I mean? I think I had no abs, then I got one ab, and now I think I've got 1.5 abs. I'm
Getting.
out doing a bit of running, like you went out and did your fucking run yesterday. I seen your little post into the accountability group. I was like, the fucking wanker. Yeah, we're going out. I think I did about 11 kilometers yesterday. You did more though, didn't you? How far did you go yesterday? Further.
16 yesterday,
Oh,
yeah.
God. You know what I mean?
I
It's
didn't
like,
get
fuck,
PBs like you, mate. That's what you do.
you
Now you're
didn't.
sober,
That's
that's what you do.
why you didn't, motherfucker. No, but do you know what I mean, though, dude? And for me, it's like kind of like that. All of these things happen when I don't drink. Do you know what I mean? Because like when I was
Yeah,
on the beer and that, I was still out doing the running and that, but everything was a fucking slog. Everything was a slog. Everything was anxiety. Problems I didn't feel like I could cope with. I was overwhelmed at the fucking slightest of things. I was just struggling. So like
yeah,
the thing to do for me was to be able to go, right, what do I need to eliminate in my life to start making me feel better? And then, obviously I reached out to you and said, look, I need to get a fucking grip, yeah. And
yeah.
not because I'm a fucking 7 days a week dependent drinker, but because
No,
I
no,
was
no.
just alcohol was having a huge negative impact on my mindset, my physical health, and my mental health. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
very simply having a little bit of accountability and a bit of Marcus love. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And look at me now, innit?
Exactly. But I think, yeah, I think, you know, maybe I come across more of the preachy side of it and things like that. And I'm okay with that because I know where I was at, I suppose. And I for the love for you, for the love of the people I help, for my family, for the loved ones around me. I just want them to be better. And I don't think being better and alcohol, in my personal opinion, are in the same conversation. That's just my opinion on it. And like for some people who can take it or leave it, then that's on them. Alcohol, I suppose out of all that conversation, alcohol doesn't discriminate. If you only have one bottle every night, that's moderation, but it's still gonna kill you, right? I suppose that's the thing I was trying to get. Yeah,
I hear you. Do you know, I hear you.
yeah.
And I don't think that you come across like fucking like militant in any way,
No, no,
Marcus. I
no,
think
yeah.
that you're strong in
Passionate.
your
That's what I like to be.
you're strong and absolutely think I think that that's good. And I think like for people who need to do something about it, they're going to resonate with the stuff that you kind of talk about and you speak about. I know
Yeah,
like I certainly did.
yeah,
Or like, but then I think people who are struggling like that, oh, fucking hell, I'm quoting a lot of fucking fellowship stuff here, but like
yeah,
there's a saying in AA which is like, to thine own self be true. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, regardless about like everyone around you, like if you really examine your truth, you're going to know there's something fucking not right. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? And that's whether that's around alcohol or spending or gambling or just your place in the world, man. Like if you sit in a quiet moment, right? We all know if there's something we need to fucking change about ourselves. And I think for me, like alcohol was one of those things. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
what I
yeah.
look like you said is you said to me, like, you don't have an alcohol problem, George. Fucking beanie hat. I only put this on for effect.
Yeah, I love
Doing
it.
that.
Look at that.
Um, Um, there was something that you said to me, which was like, you don't have an alcohol problem, you've got a stay stopped problem. And I kind of really resonated with that because, like, I have had periods across since I came out of rehab where I've had periods where I've said, right, that's it, I'm not gonna drink for a period of time, and then I end up back in that same place. And it is that kind of like, it's that round and round and round and round in circles. So it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
I just want better for me. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
fucking,
yeah, yeah.
that isn't about saying because I choose to not drink alcohol, I'm better than the person who fucking does drink alcohol. I'm not
No,
so fucking, it's none of
and
my
I'm yeah,
business.
yeah,
Know what I suggest for a minute. Like I've got some fucking, honestly, I've got really, really great, beautiful, inspiring friends. I've got a couple in my mind now who they were out at the weekend and they were having a couple of cocktails together, and they're a really, really lovely couple. And then on the Sunday morning, they're up and they're having a walk around Durham and having a nice breakfast together, and they're a really,
yeah.
really lovely couple, and their alcohol use seems to be very different. Their alcohol use and the reasons for doing it seems to be very different from my alcohol use and the reasons why I was doing it. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
That's not to
Absolutely.
suggest for them or other people that they don't end up hungover, they don't end up feeling like shit. I think for me, like if that's a consequence that people are comfortable with having from time to time, then that's okay. That's on them to fucking to
Yeah.
deal with. You know what I mean? For me, that consequence of like fucking the drinking behavior was like I was feeling worse for longer periods of time than I was getting anything out of the alcohol. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I think that I felt like that I was missing. I was going to miss something. Do you know what I mean? Like that was the thing for me. Was like, fuck, what am I going to do with myself on fucking weekends? I'm gonna miss out. But I guess I
Yeah.
had to kind of examine, like, well, what was I missing out on? Because I couldn't remember the like fucking anything great that was fucking happening. Do you know what I mean? I think it was quite a
Yeah, yeah.
sad existence for me in some ways. Do you know what I mean? Because like I'm a bit of a fucking paradox, me. I'm kind of like quite gregarious in one sense, but then I'm kind of quite private in others. And it wasn't like I was getting any like social benefits from having a beer, or was I drinking to fucking relax, or I didn't know. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that when I got a bit of distance between me and the drink, then I'm at a place now where I don't want one. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want I'm fucking like I'm up like on a Saturday morning, like I'm queuing outside the gym like a fucking knacker. In fact, I'm there before everybody else because I run around the city every Saturday. Timed it net at like 5:30. I'm out the door at 5:45. I'm in the door for 6 o'clock. 5 kilometers around the city. I'm outside the gym doors at 6:30. I'm in there. And then I come out and I'm like fresh as a fucking daisy. Fresh as a daisy, and then home and make some breakfast for me and Maddie, and then on with an amazing day. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of
Yeah.
think like that, all of that shit's really beautiful, man. It's really, really beautiful stuff. But like the the peace of mind that I have is that's been the biggest gift of all for me. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, what is booze to beast fucking longest answer fucking you've ever had on the show? What is it means? It means freedom for me. Do you know what I mean?
Freedom.
Just like freedom in my mind, freedom to not loathe myself and hate myself, and to like myself, man. Look in the mirror and go, "You handsome bastard." Do you know? Because I
Yeah.
think the more distance I get between me and the drink, the fucking better looking I'm getting as well. I can be. Do you know what I mean?
That's
Like the eye.
that's just yeah, mate. That's a struggle because you can't get even more better looking. Do you know what I
So
mean?
I'm tempted. I'm thinking I may not have a cheeky couple of beers just to fucking get myself like a bit down on the fucking eye can.
Look
You know what it
out!
is? Look, dude, you know this, man. It's like fucking. This for me is about like fucking. It's about self love, right?
Yeah,
Do you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Self love, and I've spent a lot of my life fucking not really loving me at all. Do you know what I mean? And fucking like not really loving me, not really taking care of me, not really valuing me, not really thinking that I was fucking worth much. Do you know what I mean? But like I absolutely am. I absolutely am, and I'm still a spring chicken. I'm 52. Do you know what I mean? I've got the mentality of a fucking 16-year-old, and I just feel fucking. I feel good, man. I feel good, and I feel proud of myself for stepping up for me, for stepping up for my fucking family. Do you know what I mean? For being present for me fucking kids, for like, um, for just going. No, I'm not doing that anymore.
So
I'm not
good,
doing
man.
that.
So you
I'm
like
not.
you obviously train organisations and practitioners on addiction support. What do you think? What's the one thing they still get wrong? Do you think?
To not see people with addictions as people, to see them as their problems. Do you know what I mean? But like I
Yeah,
kind of tell people, like, if you look in the whites of the eyes of people impacted by addiction, then they're the same as yours and mine. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And that
yeah,
like
yeah.
we have to create like nurturing environments with people who are struggling with alcohol and drugs, which is kind of like built around like love and compassion and humanity. Do you know what I mean? And kind of like letting those lads and lasses know that we fucking believe in them wholeheartedly, and whether they're drinking or using or not, the fucking still matter. Because nobody likes a drug user
Yeah, I
or
think I
an
remember you
alcoholic
saying, yeah,
till it
that
becomes your son or daughter. Then in that moment,
yeah,
boom, and then everything you've ever thought about somebody who's got an addiction issue or somebody who's impacted by alcohol, you may hate them, but then when it becomes your family member, then in that moment you'll expect everyone
to
to
fucking bow
change you
down,
around.
yeah. And that's the thing that always stood out for me, from your, I mean, there was a lot of it that stood out to me, and you know, I've had you deliver that same talk to my community, and with that, like, it was amazing. But the one thing you said was, "There's someone to someone," like, and that's
Yeah,
fucking like powerful.
100%.
Yeah,
Somebody's son,
yeah,
somebody's husband, somebody's wife, somebody's loved one, somebody's life, somebody's fucking somebody. Do you know what I mean? And you know what? Like for me, it's kind of like I'm an absolute advocate for the underdog. Me, I'm the guy you're going to see sat next to fucking like the homeless populations on the fucking path next to them, not fucking standing up looking down at them, or like I'm going to be sat on me fucking arse right next to them, going, "All right, brother, like who are you? What's your fucking story? Like how are you here?
yeah,
What do you need? How can I help?" Do you know what I mean? While every fucker else is just like, just going about that fucking bit. You know, before Christmas, I was in the marketplace in Durham. I was standing having a little vape before I went into WH Smith's, and I looked across the marketplace, and there was a young lass who was sat outside of Boots, right? And she wasn't actively seeking money because her lips weren't moving. She wasn't pest. She was sat, and she looked destitute. A young girl, probably around the same age as my daughter Charlotte, 22-year-old, 23-year-old. And I watched. I stood for 10, 15 minutes. Not a single fucking person stopped and spoke to her. Not a single fucking person. Everyone, it's beginning to look a lot like
yeah,
Christmas. All the good citizens, do you know what I mean? All the good fucking citizens. And not a single fucking person said, "All right, darling, is there anything I can do for you?" Nothing. You know what I mean? And people think they're good fucking people. You're not, man. If you're not making some time for these people, society's fucking great when it protects its most fucking vulnerable. Do you know what I mean? Like, doesn't fucking dictate what they can and can't do or how they've got to be. Like, go and show some fucking attention to these people and find it's a choice. All that drug use is a choice. No, it's fucking not. Go and find out about their lives. Go and put your toes in their shoes for a second and feel what it feels like to have the lives that they've fucking had. And if your heart's not filled with fucking compassion for them, do you know what I mean? Then there's something fucking wrong with you and not them. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean, right? It fucking does me nothing, man. It does me nothing. Like, fucking, I don't know where, like, I don't know. I think something's gone wrong with us as a fucking society when our most fucking vulnerable people, like, we make their life harder, not better. We call them addicts and fucking alcoholics. Well, there's nobody watching this podcast, or there's nobody qualified in the work that I do nationally to label anybody a fucking alcoholic or an addict. It's stigmatizing. It demonizes fucking people. These are people, man. People impacted by addiction, people impacted by drug use, people impacted by mental health, people who've been hurt with trauma, fucking people. Do you know what I mean? And the more we can help people, like, as they are and where they're at, do you know what I mean? To kind of let them know, using or not, you're fucking good enough and you matter. Do you know what I mean? Then I think that's where people start to make some changes. And change for me doesn't mean like abstinence is the fucking only answer. Do you know what I mean? That moderation management piece can be a really important tool to get people working towards treatment and fucking support. Do you know what I mean? And like services which wrap around them and care for them, because like as we know, it's met 21 people today die of a needless and avoidable drug-related death. More than that, 31 people die of an alcohol-specific death today. So like 50 people today, by the time we all put our heads on the fucking pillar, will have died today and yesterday and tomorrow, and the numbers go up and up and up and up and up, never fucking down. And our
yeah,
the societies to label them scum of the earth, junkies on our zombies in our community, like, what the fuck's happened to people, man? What's happened where we can't be present and loving for our most vulnerable people in our societies? Well, people can do whatever they're going to do. I'm going to be around fucking loving and nurturing them people until the fucking day I die, because you know what? That's why all of this happened for me, not to me. All this shit that happened, right? brought me right here, right now, and been able to go into fucking spaces and meet with people who fucking don't believe they're worth anything, and to put my arms around them and say, "You know what? You're fucking mighty." And I fucking climb it, 'cause they are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's it's beautiful, and you're right. Like society, it's almost like we have like some. Well, I know we have a class system, but we're almost like we all. Yeah, I mean, it's
The underclass, bruh. The class,
yeah,
that's we created the class, like, I all in my presentation, I've got all these
yeah,
headlines, one from the Journal, one from the Guardian, one from the Independent, where it says, like, one of the pictures has got a bloke that's holding on to the hands of his 2 little girls. And, what was the headline? I can't remember what the fucking headline was. Either way, the headline is it was a picture of a dead man. So this guy died of an addiction issue. Do you know what I mean? And he's got a picture, they've got a photograph of him with holding the hands of his kids. So somebody's dad's died. Like, jailed mum who tied up a junkie daughter was another headline, like in the Daily Telegraph. Like in the Independent, the headline was, "What's the point in just locking up these junkies?" And you go, "What the fuck?" Like, that's hate speech. You couldn't write that about the LGBTQ plus community. You couldn't write it about the black minority ethnic communities. If you did, you'd be in fucking prison. You couldn't even put a post on Twitter like that. But yet, when it comes to people impacted by addictions, you can say what you fucking want. Scum of the fucking earth, but they're not. Why not? Do you know what I mean? Like, but
yeah,
fucking people who need help and support and nurturing and fucking loving. Do you know what I mean? So for me, like that, what's the thing that's lacking most within services and stuff? Well, there's lots of good people working in services and they do a thankless and tiring job sometimes. But I think for me, keep it fucking simple, man. Keep it simple and just fucking show some love and compassion. But you can't show love. We
yeah,
can't be talking about professional relationship, mind. It's completely unprofessional. Well, fucking shoot me in that case, because I love all the clients that I work with and I tell them every single
yeah,
day because they need to hear it. I went on one
yeah.
there, didn't I?
I like it. I love it. And like, yeah, like the families you teach and like, do you think sometimes, and this is like a different angle, I suppose, do you think they sometimes they enable addiction even when they think they're helping?
Yeah. Well, do you know what it is? It's like, so we use like the term enabling behaviors, right?
Yeah.
Enabling behaviors, family members using enabling behaviors. I think that's another crude and fucking ugly fucking statement. It's like,
Yeah.
it feels like we just want to beat people who use drugs down and beat family members down. Mums and dads and husbands and wives are not enabling their loved ones' drug use. They're doing the best that they possibly fucking can because they're terrified that their loved ones are going to fucking die. Do you know what I mean? Because nobody's given them a fucking valid solution. People are going, "Don't go down with a sinking ship. You've got to cut them all off." Like, which parent wants to be told there's nothing they can do? You're powerless over your loved one's addiction. Well, that's bullshit as well. Don't go down with a sinking ship. Like, show them tough love. That's another one, right? You've got to show them tough love. Well, tough love isn't love. Love is fucking love. Do you know what I mean? Love is love, right? And your tough love, you'll hate ever doing it the day you try and wake your fucking son up and you can't because he's dead. And in that moment there, you're going to go, "Man, the last words I said to him were hatred." Do you know what I mean? Like, I have families who've lost their loved ones who say, "I would give fucking anything to be able to put my arms around my son and tell him that I love them, whether he's using drugs or not." Do you know what I mean? Life's fucking very fragile, man. Very fragile. And we've got all these different warriors who are out with their advice around, say this and do that and cut them off here. And it's all bollocks, mate. It's all bollocks. All we have is like fucking Monday, the 16th of February at like 20 to 2 is right here, right now. Nobody's guaranteed tomorrow. And kindness is really important. Do you know what I mean? Kindness is really, really important. And the family members that I work with and support, like, that I teach them that their love has power. Do you know what I mean? That they're not powerless by being kind and compassionate and creating environments where their loved ones can be open and honest about their drug use, and rather than going mental, alcohol use, rather than the family member going mental, to say, "Thanks for being honest." Like, thanks for being honest. I don't understand why it is that you're getting out of what it is that you're doing, but I want you to know I'm here and I've got your back.
Yeah, I've had mums of sons, young sons, reach out to me. I've had partners of yeah, like I've had the other half's partner reach out to me and say he's struggling, but I need this to save my marriage. And I suppose in them instances, like I think I'm the same as you. Like, well, no, I know I'm the same as you because I'm like you just got to support them in the best way that you know possible, and like by pushing them away is not the right one. Exactly, showing them love, showing them empathy, know that you're there for them. Like for me, that's what my parents did.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
man.
mean?
But it's also about setting some parameters for what success looks like, isn't it? You know, so like, so if you're a family member and you've got a loved one who's using kind of alcohol or drugs in a way which is like not helpful to them, right? It's like it's causing them a lot of pain and all the rest of it. Like what we're told is like we're told that for the family member, firstly, that you've got no power. There's nothing you can do. But the person using substances has to hit rock bottom before they're willing to change. That's not true either, right? Don't go down the sinking ship is another metaphor that you'll hear, right? They're gonna the ship is sinking, cut them off, right? You've got to cut them off. Which family member wants to hear that about somebody that they love? Do you know what I mean? So we're not I'm never suggesting that like for a significant other, a mom, a dad, husband, wife, like somebody who's got somebody in their life who's impacted by addiction. I'm not suggesting that the rest of your life should be kind of supporting somebody who's not prepared to make any changes. Everyone's got choices. You know, the person using substances has choices as to whether or not they're going to reduce, cut down a little bit, or stop. Do you know what I mean? And equally, the family member's got some choices as to whether or not they want to kind of support this person if they decide never to stop using at all. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's got choices. But this idea that we have to take the leap from drinking to not drinking. I worked with a woman who said to me once, she said her son was a poly drug user. His drug of choice was more, right? A bit like me, right? He'd been in and out of the criminal justice system. He was using opiates. He was using ketamine. He was using all kinds of different substances. And she said, you know, I don't have too many rules for my son, George. I've only got three. And I said, well, three doesn't sound a lot. Tell us what they are. She said, I want him to be normal, get a job, and stop using drugs, right? And I was like, wow, really? Is that all you want? Like, is that all you fucking want? Be normal, get a job, and stop using drugs. Because, like, is it fair for a mum to want that for her son? 100%? Well, whatever normal is, because I'm fucking certainly not. Do you know what I mean, right? And like getting a job in the northeast of England at the time was fucking difficult to do. Do you know what I mean? But that aside, right? Is it fair for her to want those things for her son? Absolutely. But that was her starting point. That was mum's starting point as to what success looked like. So unless her son was achieving those things, then he was failing. Do you know what I mean? So what we had to
Yeah,
do was we had to help her to kind of to rethink and redefine what success looks like, because we live in this age where unless you're abstinent, right, then you're not
yeah,
succeeding. Somebody using one drink less, 1 hour later, do you know what I mean? Like missing a fucking day. All of these things are fucking massively important on a person's journey because it allows the family member to be able to go, you know what? I noticed on Friday you didn't start drinking till 7 o'clock, and normally you're drinking by 5, and I want you to know I'm really fucking proud of you for that. Because like
yeah.
that guys like us, that matters. Because most of the time we're just being like people are down on us all the time. Where have you been? And smell alcohol on your breath. Where's my purse gone? Have you took it? It's like it's the Spanish Inquisition all of the time. But if we turn that on its head and we work on this concept that like your love has power, do you know what I mean? Like that fucking that letting people who know who are impacted by addiction that they are not their addiction. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict. You don't hear people with cancer saying, I am cancer. Or
No, no.
somebody who a brain trauma saying, I am a brain trauma. Like, we're people, man. And it's just, these guys and girls
Mm.
need loving. And the family members need to be shown a different way of doing things. And definitely for me, that is wrapped up in kind of like positive communication, low expressed emotion, using kind of like positive reinforcement about showing love and compassion and recognizing that people can and do change their behaviors all of the time. But that doesn't mean that you have to go from being a everyday drinker to stopping instantly. you can be going from an everyday drinker and just having one drink less, or not drinking spirits and starting to drink whatever it is people drink these days. I'm trying to say Colin. I think that's what I was drinking, Colin Black Label. Terrible lager. I mean, so I don't. It's
Yeah,
mad.
wow. Yeah, yeah. It's I mean that's brilliant for like for anyone that's got a loved one that is struggling.
Just
That's
don't
a
give up
great
hope,
start.
man. Just don't give up
Yeah,
hope. I mean, like, yeah, there's two examples on this podcast right now of
yeah,
people who were broken down to fucking alcohol and other drugs, and we're kind of like
yeah,
we're in a better place now. And there's not just like guys like us. There's loads of people who are doing really, really well, and some who choose like us not to drink at all, and others who fucking are drinking in a different way and they're completely comfortable with what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? And all of that stuff. Anyone who's willing to change their behaviour is a winner in my eyes, whatever that looks like.
yeah. Absolutely. I think for me as well, like with the whole stuff about families, it's like because in my eyes, like the end user, so me and you at the time, I wasn't aware the impact it was making, or I was. It's a very selfish kind of process, in my opinion, because I was like I didn't realize my mum and dad are waiting up till God knows what out until I come in because I was living with them, or I didn't know that well, I did know, but I was telling my mum I didn't want to be here no more. All that. That's like what for them to be like that rock and still like there and like still wanted to show love, and I suppose for them it's the journey's as hard as it is for us, right?
And then it's not something that when we kind of get our shit together that they just like they've been hurt by that as well. I always
Yeah,
remember
of
my dad.
course.
My dad used to say, like, as I'm sure I had about fucking 7 years at one point, I think 6 or 7 years I didn't drink at all after I came out of rehab. And I always
Yeah,
remember, like, saying, I'm going to go and see a mate. And he used to say, be careful. And when he said, be careful, he didn't mean don't trip on a curb and bust your nose. He meant, like, don't, don't have a beer because he was
yeah,
terrified. He still, I mean, what he'd
yeah,
seen
yeah,
destruction that had kind of like that happened had happened in my life, but I guess for me it's like my dad died about 4 years ago, my mum about 17 years ago, and they both got to see me kind of like uh doing all right, man. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Doing right, and that's super important for me, where they got to kind of see me, yeah, doing okay, man.
I think that's I shared I shared a how many days I am sober the other day, and my dad then it's not very often that they like he commented on it saying that's best thing you've ever done, and like I think for me, like, and for most people, well, for me, definitely hearing like
Yeah,
I'm
man.
proud of you from your parents is like kind of like the ultimate like accolade. Do you know what I mean? It's weird that we put it like that, but it sometimes can be the ultimate accolade of like your parents saying they're proud of you.
Yeah, but it validates the journey, doesn't it? And I think that's the thing that's really important in the work that I do, with the groups of people that I work with. It's like they don't hear that. You know what I mean? They don't hear
Yeah.
that anymore. Like at every layer, from the press and the media, people in society, like not everyone, I'm not making a sweeping statement suggesting
No, no,
nobody's
no.
everyone people who use drugs, but like people aren't pointing out the good things about people who use drugs. There's a lot of doom and gloom there, and they're like they're living a kind of a really painful existence. So I think sometimes it's really lovely to kind of just let people know that, like, I do see you, like I am proud of what you've done. Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of, I think that, I man, just that positive reinforcement's really important, man. And your parents should be proud of you. This will come a long way as well, man.
Yeah, 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 and yeah, yeah. I mean, it's wild, isn't it? How by as we said earlier, by giving one thing up, you gain everything, right?
Yeah,
Mate,
man.
it's nearly been an hour and a half. I'm gonna do 2 things. Ask
Mm.
the last question and then
Yeah.
ask people where people can find your lovely self. I've enjoyed and we probably could have spoke for another hour and a half. If you could give young George one piece of advice in the height of drinking and using, what would that be, and why would you give him that advice?
I would tell him to go and get some help around his problems, which weren't just related to alcohol. I think for me, I think people seeing alcohol and drugs were the presenting problem, and they weren't. It was all of that other stuff that needed to be addressed as well. Um, and I think I would tell him that you're good enough, man. You're good enough, little man. Been doing
Yeah.
some breath work, in me and Marcus, across the last 6 weeks. He's also an awesome breath work practitioner as well.
Stop
It's
it.
been really good. Stop it. Go on, go on.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that came out of the breathwork for me. It was really kind of significant, actually, like just little George, and kind of like how this bloke that I am is still kind of like has still got a wounded little man inside him from time to time. And it was kind of like the last 6 weeks for me has been about getting to know, and listen to that little guy. Do you know what I mean? And kind of understand all of the stuff that was going on for him, you know. So I guess I guess if I was to see that little lad again, and he's drinking and using, I wouldn't be so quick to judge him around his drinking and using. I think I'd make a point of letting him know that he's all right, man. He's all right, and it's not your fault. I think.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. And I think what we've from everything that you've amazingly gave, I think that underlying statement that you made quite early on as well is like drink and drugs were never the problem, they were the solution. And I think it's so that word, that sentence there is probably the most powerful of it all. Like drink and drugs
Yeah.
weren't my problem either. They were the solution. They were
Until the
everything. Yeah,
until the work.
until they weren't, until I had to have
But I
yeah.
think, Mark, I think that's one of the things, you know. Like I think there's biologically, I don't know, fucking biologically, I don't even know if I'm qualified to even say that. Like, I think there's something different in me potentially to some other people in that. I think that alcohol wasn't the problem. I had some great times, and I had some great times around drugs as well.
Yeah.
When it became a
Same.
problem, there's a cohort of people who go, I've got a problem here, I need to do something about it, and they go and do something about it. Whereas for me, I didn't. It was more. The solution was to continue to do more or different drugs in different ways, do everything to try and make it work, other than to stop. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So that's where I
Absolutely.
am. Sober Christmas, been the first sober Christmas I had this year, like in forever. I've got a holiday booked with the fucking girls, abroad. There'll be no booze touching me lips there. And I'm just, yeah, man, I'm just really appreciative for I'm appreciative for fucking you, your friendship, your support, and yeah, man, just having an opportunity to fucking to chat a bit shit on you, innit?
Love it, mate. An hour and a half of pure gold. Where can people find your amazing tell
Everywhere.
yeah, in a yellow suit, probably.
Yellow spandex suit, dressed up as naloxone, man. So I transcend everywhere. That's where I am. I'm everywhere. Anything that's yellow, I am it. Yeah, man, you can come find me on Facebook, George Charlton Training and Consultancy Services. Same title on LinkedIn. Just Google George Charlton and you'll find me, because I'm right up there in the rankings. Do you know what I mean? I'm like all over the Guardian, the BBC stuff. I'm that guy for all the right reasons. Do you know what I mean? Well, that's me.
Yeah, exactly,
Or
man.
it's like this dude as well. Like I am passionate about the work that I do, and like family members who are impacted by somebody else's addiction problems or anything like that. I've got a really great little program that I do called Community Reinforcement and Family Training. So I do that stuff with family members across the UK, and I'm just generally around, man. So come and give us a follow and come and chat some shit and see me in my yellow morph suit and singing fucking Neil Diamond songs, or what's for the one Matthew Wilder, nobody gonna bring him as right. That's it, man. Loving fucking life. Find a job that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Boom. That's me.
Oh, thank you, mate. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, take it easy.